Wang Lin stood in the gap. In front of him, the Outer Realm battlefield loomed large. The entire battlefield was vast beyond measure, seemingly without boundaries. Under Wang Lin's gaze, he saw several enormous corpses drifting slowly, wandering aimlessly toward the distant, endless void. Among these corpses, numerous restless souls weaved in and out. In the distance, a storm seemed to sweep across, silent but carrying piercing shrieks that resonated deep within one's soul. This storm was, in fact, composed entirely of wandering souls. Wang Lin's heart shook. He spread his divine sense and clearly saw his current location. He was, in fact, standing inside a massive skeleton, which did not belong to a human, but to a gigantic, ferocious beast resembling a dragon. He stood at the skull of this beast, where he had broken through the wall, revealing a small section of the beast's skull. At this very moment, he stood within this skull, gazing ahead. If one were to look toward Wang Lin's position from within the Outer Realm battlefield, they would clearly see that surrounding the massive skull were countless corpses, densely packed in an endless sea, stretching far beyond the eye's reach. The wandering soul storm approached, but just as it neared, the souls seemed to sense something terrible. With a collective scream, they scattered in fear, retreating swiftly, as if Wang Lin's presence instilled an extreme terror in them. Wang Lin had once been a soul devourer. Staring blankly at the Outer Realm battlefield, Wang Lin reflected on the countless cultivation stars he had visited, the many places he had seen, but never had he encountered such a battlefield outside the realm as the one on Vermilion Bird Star. It seemed that this battlefield was a unique existence, belonging only to Vermilion Bird Star and its cultivators. In silence, Wang Lin took a step forward. After 2,000 years, he once again stepped into this battlefield, which had granted him a new life. He could never forget how, after being killed by the elder of the Tung family, his soul had entered here with the help of Tian Ni and Situ. It was here that he saw Ma Liang, who had died, and then possessed his body, embarking on his rebirth. After a long while, as Wang Lin's divine sense continued to expand rapidly across the battlefield, he saw countless skeletons, endless wandering souls. These souls shrieked and retreated, trying to evade his divine sense, but ultimately, they could do nothing but tremble under his influence. Among the many skeletons, some belonged to cultivators, but far more belonged to strange, ferocious beasts. Of these beasts, Wang Lin had seen many, but most were unfamiliar to him. His divine sense continued to spread, covering areas even beyond those he had visited during his previous travels, surpassing the places explored by the cultivators of Vermilion Bird Star. As his perception stretched further, Wang Lin saw even more skeletons. After some time, Wang Lin's divine sense seemed to reach the edge of the Outer Realm battlefield, where an invisible barrier restrained his perception. With a flash of his eyes, Wang Lin did not stop. Instead, he expanded his divine sense outward, causing a thunderous roar at the edge of the battlefield. It sounded like the cracking of a mirror as his divine sense shattered the barrier and revealed the world beyond it. It was still the Outer Realm battlefield, but its scope was far greater. Compared to the area within the barrier, it was as vast as the ocean compared to a river. Wang Lin's heart trembled. Standing there, his divine sense spread endlessly. Beyond the barrier, he saw skeletons shining with golden light. These skeletons, and the golden light, were unmistakably the remains of immortals. He saw countless beast bones, their monstrous shapes fierce beyond words, exuding overwhelming power. Clearly, these creatures had possessed earth-shattering strength in life. Wang Lin's divine sense surged wildly again, revealing even more. He saw enormous mosquito beast bones, the bones of Ji Qiong, and countless monstrous beast skeletons, some as large as tens of thousands of zhang. The ferocious beasts Wang Lin had encountered in his life, aside from the netherworld, were all present here in the outer battlefield beyond the barrier. The shock in Wang Lin's heart was like a raging tide. His divine sense spread further, sweeping over the countless bones, until it finally reached the true edge of the Outer Realm battlefield. His divine sense covered the entire battlefield. In that instant, Wang Lin's pupils contracted sharply, a look of horror appearing on his face. As his divine sense fully covered the battlefield, he discovered that the entire Outer Realm battlefield was actually a massive fragment. This fragment had an odd connection with Vermilion Bird Star, as if Vermilion Bird Star had come into existence because of it. The fragment was irregular, almost as if it were a part of some object. A loud rumble echoed in Wang Lin's mind. In that moment, the terrifying secret passed down to him by the elder Vermilion Bird of the Four Saints sect before his death surfaced in his mind. Vermilion Bird Star was a part of the door. The words echoed in Wang Lin's mind, gradually merging with the Outer Realm battlefield his divine sense had seen. With this newfound clarity, when he looked again at the entire battlefield, he immediately recognized it. The fragmented battlefield was unmistakably part of a strange gate. The gate the Four Saints sect discovered back then. What kind of gate is it? Did the ancestors of that fallen land know about this? Wang Lin stood there for a long time, slowly suppressing the shock in his heart. Gradually, the image of the silver-clad woman appeared in his mind. He recalled her terrified words after seeing the statue of the Rainbow Taoist. The gate was not opened by me. I didn't open the gate. Wang Lin fell silent. He wasn't sure if these two gates were the same. His divine sense slowly retracted and eventually returned to his body. He glanced at the Outer Realm battlefield one last time, feeling lost, then turned and left. Upon returning to Vermilion Bird Star, Wang Lin discovered countless matters, too many to keep up with, which made him feel more and more unfamiliar with this place. Red Butterfly. She was never dead. The Rune Clan's 19th layer was sealing Li Guang's arrow. Back then, the Outer Realm battlefield was just a small area, and beyond it lay a far broader world. It turned out that it was part of the gate. Wang Lin sat on the peak of a mountain on Vermilion Bird Star, facing the howling mountain winds. His hair was tousled, his clothes whipped by the wind. He sat there, his expression complex. With my cultivation growing, I've slowly come to know all the secrets of Vermilion Bird Star. So this is what it truly is. Wang Lin looked at the sky ahead, which was gradually darkening. Black clouds slowly gathered, and amidst distant thunder, rain began to fall. A white bird flapped its wings desperately, struggling to rise against the black clouds, trying to avoid the storm that threatened its life. But in the end, with a deafening thunderclap, the bird's body trembled, and it was swept away and devoured by the dark clouds behind it. Upon seeing this, Wang Lin's expression tightened, and he sensed something was wrong. The rain hadn't reached him yet, but gusts of wind from the rain began to blow past, carrying damp moisture that chilled him. This was autumn rain. The sky grew darker, and the sound of thunder echoed louder, seemingly closer to the mountain peak where Wang Lin stood. The dark clouds rolled in like ink spilled across paper, spreading outwards. The rain intensified. The heavy sound of rain mixed with the mountain winds grew louder, clearer, and more intense. Dust on the ground, which should have been stirred by the falling rain, remained completely still. The small stones around Wang Lin on the mountain peak, which would normally have been blown away by the wind, now stayed completely motionless, as if an invisible force was pressing them down. With a deafening boom, another thunderclap rang out, and lightning streaked across the sky, connecting heaven and earth. The sudden flashes illuminated the surrounding clouds, twisting like silver serpents, as if marking something. Looking at the darkening sky and the rolling clouds, Wang Lin took a deep breath. An indescribable feeling of frustration began to rise in his heart. Frowning, he suppressed his unease about the revelations concerning Vermilion Bird Star. He had completed everything he needed to do here. Now, he had to focus on refining the repulsive force within his body and bringing his life and death, cause and effect, truth and falsehood origins to completion. Once that was done, he would refine the sword of slaughter given by the clear water, using the six paths origin to attain Tao and break through the gate of void to become a third step great power. Wang Lin stood up and turned to leave. Behind him, the black clouds surged violently, as if a god of slaughter was staring down at him, ready to devour him, just as it had done to the white bird before. Thunder crackled, and lightning flashed intermittently. Amidst the downpour, a cold and murderous aura suddenly erupted from the black clouds. It came so abruptly that it took Wang Lin by surprise. Wang Lin halted, his right foot suspended in midair. His body hair stood on end, and an overwhelming sense of life and death crisis surged through him, a shocking heartbeat shaking him to his core. He suddenly turned around, staring at the swirling black clouds with a look of grim seriousness. Something's wrong. The three images Wang Lin had seen earlier flashed rapidly through his mind. The bird died, the dust didn't stir, and the stones remained still. The sense of crisis was even more intense than what he had experienced in the ancient god graveyard or anything after returning to the inner realm. This feeling of imminent death was like a calamity, one that Wang Lin, like the red butterfly, had to face in order to survive. Only after surviving this calamity would he be qualified to continue living. This was the insight that arose within him as he saw the dark clouds looming behind him. The towering, rolling clouds were not filled with true murderous intent. This murderous intent was the transformation of the thunderous storm clouds in the heavens, a product of the mysterious sensation that Wang Lin felt in the void. But this change did not occur at any other time, neither earlier nor later. It just had to appear at this very moment, right in front of Wang Lin. It was an anomaly from the heavens. Heavenly anomaly. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. Without hesitation, his divine sense surged outwards, rapidly expanding in all directions, covering the Vermilion bird star. As his divine sense surged into the starry sky, the moment it pierced through, Wang Lin's expression changed drastically. It was like the heavens themselves were the sky. Or more accurately, outside the Vermilion bird star, the sky itself had appeared. This was something that should have been impossible, but right now, it had suddenly come true. Outside the Vermilion bird star, there was no longer a star domain. The entire Vermilion bird star seemed to be enveloped by a terrifying Tao technique, as if it had been pulled out of the inner realm and placed into a vast, immeasurable world. This world was blue. It replaced the star domain. In this blue world, there was nothing but emptiness, except for one cultivation star in the sky, the Vermilion bird. Wang Lin's expression shifted drastically. His eyes flashed with coldness, and as his divine sense swept across the Vermilion bird star, his face darkened even further. In that instant, there was not a single living being left on the Vermilion bird star. Not just the cultivators, but the common folk, even the plants and wild beasts, all seemed to have evaporated, completely disappearing without a trace. At that moment, it was as though Wang Lin was the only one left on the entire Vermilion bird star. But it wasn't that all the beings on the Vermilion bird star had died or vanished. What had disappeared was Wang Lin. The Vermilion bird star remained, still within the realm, with countless beings still going about their daily lives. Zhou Wutai was still sitting in front of the Vermilion bird statue, quietly drinking his wine, and the many cultivators were still immersed in the excitement of the Seal Sovereign's return. On the Vermilion bird star, the mountain where Wang Lin had previously stood was now empty. In front of the peak, the sky was a calm, clear blue, without a cloud in sight, no rolling dark clouds at all. It was as though the Vermilion bird star had been reflected by a mirror, split into two. One remained in the inner realm, unchanged and whole, while the other was lifeless, with only Wang Lin standing alone in that vast, boundless world. The same mountain. Here the weather was fair and sunny. The same mountain, but Wang Lin stood atop it, surrounded by dark clouds, thunder roaring, and torrential rain falling in torrents. Such a Tao technique could be called the skill of seizing fate. Wang Lin's expression was grim as he stepped forward and plunged into the rolling black clouds. Like a sword piercing through them, he stepped out of the split Vermilion bird star. At the moment of stepping out, the dazzling blue light from the vast heavens outside the Vermilion bird star surged forward, as if it could pierce through all emptiness. Wang Lin stood in this world. Behind him was the lifeless Vermilion bird star, and in front of him stretched an endless expanse, one that even his divine sense could not fully cover, an actual boundless, infinite world. The ground was not made of earth, but of a smooth water surface. There were no ripples on the water, only the blue of the sky perfectly reflected upon it. From a distance, this vast world where Wang Lin stood resembled an immense well, a well expanding endlessly without any edges. Wang Lin. A vague voice suddenly came from the sky, softly falling into Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin remained silent, raising his head to look at the sky. His pupils contracted, and he let out a deep breath. The sound of his heartbeat echoed through his body, and golden light faintly radiated as he circulated all his cultivation. In the blue sky, amidst the spreading blue light, a figure slowly began to form. This figure, wearing a blue robe, was a middle-aged man. He gazed at Wang Lin with a complex expression and sighed lightly. Wang Lin greets Dao Venerable. Wang Lin cupped his hands in a formal greeting. Blue Dream Dao Venerable silently watched Wang Lin, and as time passed, the complexity in his eyes gradually dissipated, replaced by firmness. His voice echoed softly. I didn't participate in the death of the Seal Sovereign last time. This time, I won't make a move against you either. This world was arranged by the combined efforts of the Void profound experts from the ancient stars, with the help of the ancient Immortal Consort. It can temporarily tear open the Void and imprison you here without anyone in the inner realm noticing. This world can exist for 3 hours. In these 3 hours, you cannot escape death. I have an old debt with you, so I appear to inform you. If you must blame someone, blame yourself for being the Seal Sovereign. And the Seal Sovereign must die. Blue Dream Dao Venerable sighed inwardly, and his figure turned into countless blue rays, merging with the sky, disappearing without a trace. The moment he vanished, the sky suddenly rippled violently, and from within the ripples, a figure emerged. The figure was blurry, but it was vaguely discernible that it was an elderly man in gray robes. This elder's eyes gleamed like lightning, carrying a hint of murderous intent. The moment his figure manifested, he raised his right hand and pointed directly at Wang Lin below. Although I cannot unleash all of my power here, only using my mid-ethereal stage strength, today, you, just like the Seal Sovereign back then, are destined to die. With a single gesture, the world seemed to change color. A fierce wind howled, and the gust of his finger morphed into a gray dragon that roared towards Wang Lin with an unimaginable speed. What was even more astonishing was the immense devotional power within this dragon. As the dragon roared, the combined flames of incense formed a terrifying screech that echoed in the air, sending chills down one's spine. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, his expression grim. At that moment, he no longer considered life or death. This calamity, he would face whether he lived or died. This was the Seal Sovereign's calamity. The previous Seal Sovereign had died in the encirclement of several mighty figures from the ancient stars. Like a cycle of reincarnation, today, this tribulation would fall upon Wang Lin once more. 3 hours. The gray dragon roared toward him. Without hesitation, Wang Lin stepped forward. Raising his right hand, he pointed at the sky. Instantly, the wind summoning technique spread across the blue sky, manifesting into 13 black dragons, each reaching their limit. They roared and blew the extinction wind. The wind glowed golden as it rushed toward the gray dragon. Golden. The old man in gray's eyes narrowed. In an instant, the two forces collided. A thunderous boom shook the heavens. A shock wave swept outward as the gray dragon twisted and entangled with the 13 black dragons, their roars reverberating through the world. Under this collision, Wang Lin's long hair was swept back, and his body was pushed several meters. His face turned pale as he suddenly looked up. Clenching his right fist, he didn't charge forward, but instead turned around and struck with a thunderous punch. At that very moment, a ripple appeared behind him, and a blurry figure of an old woman emerged. Dressed in black, with a sinister gaze, her withered right hand rose and pointed directly at Wang Lin's back as he retreated. But what met her was Wang Lin's counterpunch. A fist and a finger collided in an instant. Wang Lin's body trembled violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood as he was thrown sideways. The old woman paused, her right index finger shattering into fragments, and her eyes gleamed coldly as she approached Wang Lin. "You have some skill." Blood trickled from Wang Lin's lips, but his eyes remained calm. He knew this calamity would be difficult to survive, and the next 3 hours were like a chasm ahead of him. But no matter what, he would never surrender to death. No one can control my fate, not even the death tribulation. As he retreated, his right hand suddenly raised and pointed at the sky. In an instant, golden light appeared from nowhere, swirling outward. A giant handprint materialized, booming with power. More golden light. The old man in gray's pupils contracted. Even the black-clad old woman narrowed her eyes. At the very moment the handprint appeared, a sky-shaking sword chi surged from behind Wang Lin. This sword chi carried an overwhelming chill, and as it materialized, it turned into an ice spear. The ice spear came from the void, and with continuous cracking sounds, it raced towards Wang Lin. In front of the spear, a blue short sword appeared. The short sword was incredibly fast, appearing precisely when Wang Lin was about to use the soul subjugation seal. At that moment, the world seemed to freeze, and the short sword shot toward Wang Lin. A radiant light immediately surrounded Wang Lin's body. Just as the cold sword neared, a massive light shadow appeared, but as soon as it emerged, it was pierced by the cold sword. With a cracking sound, the light shield turned into a giant ice sculpture. The cold sword crashed through the ice sculpture, carrying a murderous aura straight at Wang Lin. A huge explosion rang out, and Wang Lin's use of the soul subjugation seal was interrupted. He spat another mouthful of blood, and his body was thrown forward. Behind him, the ice spear relentlessly pursued. Wang Lin's expression darkened, and bloodlight flashed in his hand. He swung it backward, and the blood surged like a tidal wave, with the blood sword speeding toward the cold sword. From a distance, the scene was breathtaking, an epic clash between bloodlight and ice-cold, life and death colliding. The two swords met in an instant. Thunderous booms echoed across the heavens as the sound of the swords clashing was filled with a sorrowful wail. The cold sword trembled and shattered in two, flying backward. The blood sword, vibrating with energy, had its bloodlight collapse, but it still shot backward into Wang Lin's hand as he grasped it tightly, his gaze fixed ahead. From beside the broken cold sword, a man dressed in white stepped out. His gaze was cold, carrying an aura of ruthlessness as he stared at Wang Lin. And this quickly, the man's words were as frigid as his expression. As he spoke, he moved forward, and from two other directions, the old man in gray and the black-clad old woman turned into long streaks of light, rushing toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin rapidly retreated. Although their powers were suppressed for various reasons, their mid-ethereal stage strength was still formidable, especially as they were 3 in number. With such an advantage, Wang Lin had no means of opposing them. As he retreated, Wang Lin's right hand pointed at the sky. The previously interrupted soul subjugation seal once again manifested, roaring toward the heavens. Wang Lin's eyes glowed with golden light, revealing a fierce battle intent. "You want to fight? Then fight." Wang Lin's voice was calm. The more desperate the situation, the more reckless he became, and the calmer his mind grew. This was a habit he had developed over his 2,000 years of life and death struggles. At this moment, with a wave of his hand, golden light spread across the sky, and a massive roar echoed as the huge palm imprint shone with endless golden light, sweeping downwards with unstoppable force. Before the palm reached its target, an immense pressure descended, shaking everything. This was the authentic soul subjugation seal. Inside the palm print, the palm lines were clearly visible, resembling intersecting mountain ranges, as it slammed towards the ground below. "What is this golden light? It's making me feel a vague sense of fear." The gray-robed elder stared intently at the golden light from the soul subjugation seal. "If you want to kill me, you will pay the price." Wang Lin growled, his expression fierce. With his right hand, he pressed downward, following the golden palm imprint. The calm water below began to swirl violently under the pressure, rapidly churning. The gray-robed elder's gaze flashed. As Wang Lin's soul subjugation seal came crashing down, the elder raised his right hand and waved it forward. Instantly, a round bottle appeared in his hand. The bottle was transparent, filled with yellow earth. He crushed the bottle, and the earth flew out. With a wave of his sleeve, the earth began to glow with yellow light. It expanded rapidly, growing larger and denser, until in an instant, the earth in front of the elder reached a size of 10,000 zhang. Earth origin, burial 0. At the elder's command, the 10,000 zhang of earth began to move, rising into the air with an overwhelming force, heading straight for Wang Lin's golden soul subjugation seal. At the same time, the black-clad old woman remained calm. She formed a hand seal, then waved her hand outward. 9 of her fingernails instantly elongated, breaking off from her fingertips and transforming into 9 streaks of black light. Within the black light, 9 enormous ghostly figures roared and materialized, using the fingernails as flying swords. They followed the massive earth, charging forward with a terrifying force. The cold and indifferent man in white, staring at the incoming soul subjugation seal, placed his right hand on his mouth and bit it, quickly drawing a seal in front of him with his blood. As soon as the seal appeared, it turned into blood ice with a cracking sound. He flicked his hand, and the seal flew upwards. The heavens and earth trembled. This was a countermeasure of divine skill. As the endless golden light from Wang Lin's soul subjugation seal collided with the massive earth, a loud explosion rang out. The earth immediately covered the entire palm imprint. A deafening roar reverberated, and at the same time, the black-clad old woman's 9 fingernails, carrying ghostly figures, pierced through the earth with a series of sharp impacts. Then, the white-clad man's blood eye seal fell. Upon contact with the earth, the seal shattered and unleashed a chilling wave that swept across, freezing everything in its path. Earth collapse. Soul kill. Ice movement. The 3 stood below, watching the palm imprint that had been overwhelmed by their divine skills. Almost simultaneously, they spoke. In that moment, the palm imprint exploded, shattered into pieces. The 5 fingers fell like mountains, and in the collapse, a massive shockwave swept in all directions. Wang Lin spat out blood and was thrown backward as the soul subjugation seal was destroyed. 9 fingernails had pierced into his body, and the wound began to transform into earth, while a chilling aura spread throughout his body, as if he were being frozen to death. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he staggered back, spitting more blood. In just a short span of time, he had been heavily wounded. As he retreated, Wang Lin forced a grim smile, but his eyes burned with a killing intent. With a sweep of his right hand, a pill bottle appeared in his grasp. Just as he was about to swallow it, the 3 figures below moved in unison, like 3 streaks of rainbow light, closing in on Wang Lin in an instant. The gray-robed elder's face was serious. He couldn't figure out what the golden light was, but he felt an eerie sense of familiarity. Now standing to Wang Lin's left, the elder raised his right hand, and his index finger flickered with yellow light. The entire finger seemed to be composed of earth, and with that yellow hue, it shot straight for Wang Lin's forehead. From the elder's finger, endless souls of incense fire burst out, filling the sky. The souls transformed into countless grains of earth, swirling around the elder's finger, intent on devouring and surrounding Wang Lin, just as they had destroyed the soul subjugation seal. Meanwhile, the black-clad old woman stepped to Wang Lin's right. Her eyes flashed with a cold light, and she extended her 5 fingers, pressing them toward Wang Lin's chest. Within her 5 fingers, the souls of incense fire transformed into terrifying ghostly figures, howling as they charged straight at Wang Lin. Her 5 fingers were like the gates of the underworld, exuding a deadly and suffocating aura of death. In front of Wang Lin, the white-clad man stepped forward. His expression remained icy and merciless. He raised his right hand, and the chilling aura spread outward. With a single strike, he aimed for Wang Lin's crown. "It's over." The man's voice was soft as the 3 of them launched their attacks simultaneously, heading straight for Wang Lin. At this critical moment, the ancient god star mark on Wang Lin's forehead flickered rapidly, and the celestial emperor furnace roared out, materializing around his body. As soon as the celestial emperor furnace appeared, it collided with the 3's killing strikes. With a shudder, it instantly shattered into countless ethereal lights that spiraled back into Wang Lin's forehead. Taking advantage of the brief resistance provided by the celestial emperor furnace, Wang Lin roared lowly. A flash of light engulfed his body as the light and shadow shield appeared once again, expanding outward forcefully. However, this expansion lasted only an instant before the shield shattered with a resounding crash. Everything happened so quickly. From the moment the 3 appeared and struck until now, only a few breaths had passed. In such a short time, Wang Lin had already experienced multiple life and death moments. His numerous divine abilities and treasures hadn't even had time to be deployed, and even the soul subjugation seal had been interrupted mid-casting. Wang Lin even had to divide his focus to observe his surroundings. He didn't believe the three were all there was. The attempt on his life this time was, like the previous attempt to kill the Sealing Venerable, a grand scheme from the entire Outer Realm Ancient Stars. The Palm Sovereign had yet to appear. The Ancient Immortal Consort hadn't made a move either. This crisis was the greatest of Wang Lin's life. It was a death tribulation. In the instant the light and shadow shield collapsed and its fragments flew away, Wang Lin's right arm flickered with light, and the ancient god bracer manifested. He needed time to cast more divine abilities and deploy more treasures, but right now, his enemies wouldn't even give him that opportunity. Since they wouldn't give him a chance, he had to create one for himself. As the three's killing moves closed in, the moment Wang Lin's forehead, chest, and the crown of his head were pricked with pain, a powerful burst of ancient god power erupted from his right arm. This ancient god power surged like a storm, immediately forming the massive ancient god phantom that had protected him numerous times. The phantom was scarred, but the warmth it emanated still lingered. As the phantom appeared, the three's killing strikes hammered into it, and time seemed to freeze for a moment. The phantom shook violently, lowered its head as though looking at Wang Lin, then exploded into fragments. At that instant, the star points on the phantom's forehead detonated all at once. A mighty burst of ancient god power exploded from within, transforming into a powerful shockwave that pushed the three back. The three of them paled, spitting blood as they were forced to retreat. In their eyes, the massive ancient god phantom rapidly disintegrated, starting with its legs, then its body, until only its right hand remained. The hand reached out and grabbed Wang Lin, throwing him toward the water's surface below. The moment it threw him, the right hand dissipated. Wang Lin's eyes showed sorrow as blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. The ancient god aura surrounded him as he fell with a loud splash into the water, sinking to the depths below. The surface of the water rippled violently, waves spreading out. The three of them stared at the water, adjusting their breath before once again approaching with killing intent, preparing to chase after him. Below the water, Wang Lin's right arm bracer shattered, slowly detaching and scattering around him. In the midst of his sorrow, his eyes gleamed with madness. As the three neared the surface, a huge vortex suddenly appeared in the calm waters, followed by a low, rumbling sound. A massive fist made of water emerged from the surface, aimed directly at the white-clad man in the lead. The white-clad man's gaze flashed. As the water fist approached, he slammed his right hand against it, releasing an icy aura. The fist turned to ice and shattered, but as it collapsed, Wang Lin roared from beneath the surface, breaking through everything in his path. His right fist collided directly with the white-clad man's palm. This punch was Wang Lin's strongest strike, ignoring the repulsive force within his body and unleashing the most powerful blow of the ancient Tao. Behind him, the head of the ancient Tao materialized with a thunderous roar. The white-clad man was immediately sent flying hundreds of zhong, spitting blood. Wang Lin's body also sprayed golden blood, but he didn't stop. After pushing back the white-clad man, he spun around, taking a step toward the gray-clad elder. His right hand rose, and golden lightning flashed from his right eye, instantly replacing the blue sky with endless thunder. With a single point of his finger, the thunder roared, racing toward the gray-clad elder at an incredible speed. The thunder rumbled, and the elder didn't even have time to dodge. In an instant, he was engulfed by the golden lightning. The immortal power within the lightning transformed it into immortal thunder, greatly increasing its power. The gray-clad elder's expression changed drastically as he retreated rapidly, golden lightning crackling over his body, and he coughed up blood. Immortal power. This is immortal power. As he retreated, the elder's eyes filled with terror. He finally remembered what the golden power was. Wang Lin's injuries were even more severe. At this moment, he was fighting desperately, disregarding the recoil from his own attack. With a fierce expression, he suddenly turned around and, with his left eye ablaze with flames, he slammed his left palm toward the old woman in black. Instantly, an endless golden firestorm surged forth, engulfing her. As the flames howled, the old woman spat blood from the corner of her mouth and quickly retreated. She too revealed an expression of horror, But what shocked her the most were the two words spoken by the elder in gray. Immortal. Immortal power. With his body grievously wounded, Wang Lin forced the three of them back at an incredible speed, earning a precious opportunity. Stepping back, his face twisted in a grimace, he raised his right hand and pointed toward the sky. World incinerating umbrella. Umbrella unfolds to annihilate the world. The blue sky darkened, and a massive umbrella pole appeared. In an instant, the sky above him turned into an umbrella canopy. From a distance, it looked like a blue umbrella. However, just as the umbrella manifested, the firestorm spread across the sky, enveloping the umbrella and transforming it into a blazing fire umbrella capable of incinerating worlds. Under this fiery power, the world seemed distorted, as if everything was being torn apart, on the verge of being shattered. Thick smoke billowed as the firestorm raged. The three figures' expressions changed dramatically. With the flames surging through the sky, they had no time to kill Wang Lin and could only retreat hastily. The appearance of this fire umbrella brought them an overwhelming sense of life and death crisis. Although they were projections and death would not harm their true bodies, if the projections were killed, their true selves would be gravely wounded and require long recovery. Terrified, the three of them retreated without hesitation. Seal Sovereign. This person truly deserves to be called Seal Sovereign. With such cultivation, he can unleash a power that obliterates heaven and earth. The elder in gray exclaimed, his face changing drastically. The previous Seal Sovereign was hard to kill, but I never expected this generation's Seal Sovereign to be just as formidable. The old woman in black gasped, her eyes filled with killing intent, yet her body continued to retreat quickly. The world incinerating umbrella was an art of divine power not from this realm. With Wang Lin's cultivation, especially since he had not fully comprehended its mysteries, it consumed an enormous amount of his life force. The firestorm released from the umbrella was entirely fueled by his life force, and as a result, his appearance aged rapidly. Yet, the cold glint in his eyes did not diminish. Instead, it grew stronger. If you want to escape, can you? To kill me, Wang Lin, you must pay the price. It is not enough to just attempt it. Wang Lin growled, his life force surging wildly as he sacrificed it into the world incinerating umbrella, intensifying the flames. The flames swept down like a massive mouth, devouring everything beneath. The man in white, his face pale, stepped back and suddenly gritted his teeth. He raised his right hand and struck his brow. With a loud boom, a snowflake-like symbol immediately protruded from his previously smooth forehead. As this symbol appeared, a cold air spread throughout the world. In that moment, the middle-aged man roared, grabbing the snowflake mark in his forehead and forcefully pulling it out. He threw it toward the ancient umbrella, unleashing fire below. Using my lifespan as the Tao, the soul of ice and snow as the heaven, and cold sealing the void as the guide, eternal frost. The middle-aged man's status was evidently higher than the other two. Even among the ancient stars, he was a figure second only to the 5 ancient sovereigns. The moment he acted, the world changed color. The still water surface on the ground, within a vast space resembling a well, immediately crackled loudly as the cold air spread. The water froze instantly in the center, and the ice expanded in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the entire surface of the water turned into a vast, unending sheet of ice. This immense ice sheet emanated wisps of white cold air, which rose into the sky, counteracting the firestorm. The sky trembled. Above the ancient umbrella, an enormous snowflake symbol, tens of thousands of zhang in size, appeared. As it materialized, a thunderous roar echoed, and the entire sky turned into ice. The sky was frozen. The earth was frozen. Snowflakes materialized in the air, and with a roar from the middle-aged man, as he raised his right hand, the ancient umbrella burning in the ice-cold sky was bombarded by an endless flurry of snowflakes from all directions. It was as if a snowstorm had formed, crashing into the umbrella. The firestorm was rapidly melted, and the snowflakes fell like torrential rain to the ground. In that instant, endless cold air emitted from the frozen water surface and merged with the chilling air in the sky, racing toward the ancient umbrella. With a crackling sound, The firestorm emanating from the umbrella was immediately sealed by large blocks of ice, and the umbrella itself, in a thunderous rumble, was transformed into a frozen sculpture. Countless massive icicles were condensed beneath the ancient umbrella as the snowflakes melted, emitting waves of chilling light. Even more ice columns stretched from the sky to the ground, connecting to the ice sculpture of the ancient umbrella. At a glance, it was an awe-inspiring sight. The middle-aged man exhaled sharply and retreated. The other two who had been backing away also stopped. But just at that moment, with a flash in Wang Lin's eyes, he pointed at the ancient umbrella frozen in ice. As vitality rapidly drained from him in a grand sacrificial act, a muffled rumbling sound emanated from the ancient umbrella. The middle-aged man's face changed once again, a look of horror appearing as he frantically retreated. The other two in the distance also felt their scalps tingle and quickly backed away. Suddenly, the fiery ocean within the ice burst outward with a loud bang, causing vast sections of the ice to collapse. The first to collapse were the ice columns connected to the sky, followed by those connecting to the ground. Finally, all the ice layers surrounding the ancient umbrella shattered with a thunderous roar, the fiery ocean's impact causing them to spiral outwards in all directions. A murderous glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand and pointed at the fleeing black-clad old woman. As he did, the ice layers outside the ancient umbrella shattered, and flames split into a roaring surge heading straight for the old woman. Her face turned pale, and her hands quickly formed seals, seemingly attempting to counteract with some kind of supernatural power. But in an instant, her body was consumed by the fire, and her screams echoed through the air. After the firestorm passed, her projection collapsed into nothingness. In that moment when the old woman was slain by the world-incinerating umbrella, deep within the ancient stars, in the pitch-black floating pavilion that hung eternally in the starry sky, a few individuals were sitting cross-legged near a well in the great hall. One of them was none other than the old woman. She suddenly opened her eyes, spitting out a mouthful of blood as she glared fiercely at the well before her. Within the well, the scene of Wang Lin's world appeared vividly. After a long silence, the old woman looked up toward the depths of the great hall. "Give me an explanation," she demanded. "It is not yet the time. This child possesses something." An ancient voice echoed from the depths of the hall. The old woman fell silent, not speaking further. Her gaze returned to the scene in the well. Inside the well, flames from the ancient umbrella surged. After killing the black-clad old woman, as Wang Lin pointed once more, the flames split into two streams, heading straight for the gray-clad elder and the white-robed man. The two streams of fire, like fire dragons, roared toward them. One of them closed in on the gray-clad elder, whose face changed drastically. He quickly formed seals with his hands, slapping his forehead. Immediately, a massive yellow glow surrounded him, transforming into layers of dirt that enveloped his body. Just as the firestorm came crashing toward him, his body was engulfed by the flames. A booming sound reverberated through the air until the flames receded. Floating in the air was a giant earth sphere, countless cracks appearing on its surface before it shattered, revealing the elder within. The elder spat out a large amount of blood, his body sagging from heavy injuries, but still alive. As he looked toward the firestorm charging at him once more, he bitterly sighed. Lifting his right hand, he crushed a jade slip, his body slowly dissipating. As the firestorm consumed him, he vanished without a trace. Though he spat blood, it was ethereal. Though he appeared to bleed, there was no trace of the blood. In the ancient stars pavilion, the old woman sat with a gray-clad elder beside her. At that moment, the elder opened his eyes, blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, and he shook his head with a bitter smile. I underestimated him. In the world inside the well, as Wang Lin's final finger pointed, the last burst of the firestorm from the world-incinerating umbrella surged toward the white-robed man. As the flames swept past, layers of ice spread over the white-robed man's body. With a series of deafening booms, the ice surrounding his body continued to shatter and reform. His body was sent flying back for tens of thousands of zhang before stopping. As layers of ice continued to form, the flames coiled into a sealing formation around him. Wang Lin's face showed signs of aging. This time, Using the world-incinerating umbrella, he had sacrificed far too much of his vitality. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to unleash such power from the umbrella. However, this also caused him tremendous harm, especially from the repulsive force within him, which made his entire body tremble. Now, as his vitality grew weaker, the ancient umbrella in the sky gradually lost its earlier power and began to dissipate, as if it were about to vanish. A murderous glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. In this moment of life and death, he no longer cared about whether he would survive. Death? What's to fear? I've long grown tired of cultivation. If I can kill a few more before I die, that's enough. His hair disheveled, Wang Lin was ready to fight to the death, charging toward the ice-encased middle-aged man. He was going to kill. But just as Wang Lin neared the frozen white-robed man, his pupils suddenly contracted, and he abruptly looked up. There, above the massive ice layers surrounding the white-robed man, a figure silently emerged from the void. The figure was a woman, her appearance blurry, but her eyes gleamed with a cold, deadly aura. Her jade hand rose, fingers spread, and she pressed toward Wang Lin from afar. 5 viscera, immortal Tao. The first is the kidneys, and when the kidneys fail, they are harmed. The woman's voice was soft, but as she spoke, her little finger bent and tapped her palm. Wang Lin's body shook, and he vaguely sensed a strange force spreading throughout the world. The moment this strange power emerged, a sharp, indescribable pain suddenly radiated from his kidneys. Blood spurted out, and Wang Lin instinctively staggered back. At this moment, if his body were transparent, one could clearly see that his kidneys inside were rapidly withering, and even the ancient god's restorative power could not heal them. As Wang Lin retreated into the third step, he let out a pained grunt. The rapid withering of his kidneys turned into a pool of blood that dispersed within his body. Amidst the excruciating pain, Wang Lin's eyes turned bloodshot, and his body trembled, but the killing intent in his gaze reached its peak in this agony. The second is the lungs, and when the lungs die, the body perishes. The woman's voice was faint as she pointed towards Wang Lin's palm, her ring finger following her little finger, bending downward. The third is the spleen, and when the spleen ruptures, it decays. After the ring finger, the woman's middle finger bent and touched her palm.